more leads, more referrals in your business, well, then stick with me on this video because I am in now part 4 of this series on basically how to generate more new business, how to generate more new referrals from the people that already know, like, and trust you. And for those, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm Bill Utenage, and I'm the author of the book Referability Roadmap: How to Build a Referral-Based Business. And what I'm sharing over, and what I have shared over the last 3 days, is my 36 Connect program. And I'll give you a little visual of that and where we've been. And so if you're just tuning in on this part 4, I'd encourage you, hey, stay with me today. You can watch this, go back and watch the previous trainings on this, because I've talked about our first day was email. And then we talked about direct mail. And then yesterday, right, we talked about phone calls, about reaching out, how to have those conversations, what those conversations look like, to really not to be begging people, being desperate for business, but coming from a place of goodwill, of value, and then understanding really how to engage and have a conversation around asking for referrals. And it was interesting because I've heard, different, gurus or people in that, and I'm definitely not a guru. I'm a student, no different than you are. I'm constantly always learning and hoping that I'm getting better at my craft. And people will go, oh, well, you should never ask for referrals. Now, I disagree with that to the fact that, yes, if you're calling someone or asking, hey, who do you know that, and you're doing it that way, I think the difference of it is understanding how to ask for referral. And that's coming from a place from initially building a relationship, giving value, all of those things, and then understanding how that works. And I kind of talked about that yesterday. So go back and watch that piece on understanding how that works when we're asking, for referrals. And I think if you do that, it's a much better way. It's a more natural way of doing that, right? Than that repetitive canned script that a lot of us have used, and it's in just about every profession, right? So it exists in there. So what we're going to jump into today in part 4 of this is we're going to get over here. We're going to talk about, where am I? Text messages. So this is something, and we're talking about what we're doing quarterly. So let me grab that back. And so just so bring you up to speed. So what we talked about is what we're going to do on a monthly basis. Yesterday's video and today's video is what we're doing on a quarterly basis. And we talked about the phone call. But the other thing to do is what I found is the power of text messages. Because what happens is, and this, more people will respond, right, to a text than they're going to respond to an email, and even a phone call. Because sometimes, if this has ever happened to you, is you call someone, you get their voicemail, you leave them a voicemail. I come from the era of that. If it was important enough to call, I leave a voicemail. And a lot of people will then I'll get a text immediately back and going, hey, saw you called, what's up? Like, they didn't play the voicemail, and I get it. Sometimes it's a generational thing. So this is why, if we look at utilizing text messages in our communication, because they're super efficient, and they can also actually sometimes be more effective, especially email, but even that phone call. And so what we want to do, so what we're going to be talking about, right, is we're talking about sending a text. And this is what we're going to do. This is, we're looking quarterly. That's my abbreviation for quarterly, right? Is doing this quarterly because we're reaching out to people, hopefully having a phone call with them. If not, we're leaving them a voicemail, but also once a quarter. And again, and as I share these with you, the 36 is really the minimum of communication that you should be having. And so that's because we're getting bombarded, like I've talked about over the last couple of videos with that. So I won't go into a lot of detail. I'll talk about that in the other ones. But the text message, what I love about the text message is a couple of things. Is one, yes, it's efficient that I can do that. I also know that I'm going to get probably a higher response rate. The other thing inside of it is that I can actually schedule a text message. Now, depending on what software that you use, the software that I use in my business is called IMAX Digital. And so if you want more information about that, let me know. I can connect you with that. But inside of it is that it has a way that I can actually send out group text messages that aren't group text messages. And this is what I love about this. And so now you need to be careful with this is in having the right system. So if someone is in my database and I put them in there, I want to make sure that I have permission, right, to text them, to reach out to them, because there's a lot of, the canned spam, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So let me put that disclosure out there. We're not cold spamming anybody on this, is that they have given me permission to reach out to them. And again, think about, this is why this is our relationship list. It's not a mailing list of our database, because these are people that already know, like, and trust us. They've done business with us. They know us, right? So the issue is when we start doing this cold outreach and spamming people, and nobody really wants that. So what I love about being able to set that up in the CRM is literally, and one of the things that we did inside of our real estate businesses, that we would do around, a great way to do a text is around holidays. And for example, we've got, it was just, last month was the 4th of July, is inside of your CRM, is then I could actually set this up to where everyone in my CRM gets a message from me. And I would write that out. It's like, hey, Bill, wishing you and your family a safe and happy 4th of July. Hey, I hope you're having a great summer, right? Now, that's going out individually. It's not a group if you have the right CRM system, because then you can just set that up. Same thing. You could do that, at Thanksgiving. You can pick different, whatever. I'm just using holidays because it's a way to effectively to be able to do that. Now, the nice part of that is that can be set up, right, for the whole year, just like what I talked about with your email. So things that you can actually automate. Now, phone calls are obviously different. Now, you can set up automation that will remind you of, like, hey, who you need to call. And that's why I would want you to making sure that you have a CRM system that allows you to do these things. The less things that you have to think about and doing is more time that these are going to actually, the likelihood of them happening will actually take place. Okay. So we can set that up through our CRM so we can automate that, right? The other thing I like about it is that what we were doing, and this is going to go back to when I talked about is sorting our database by the people that have the greatest value to our business, or A, B, and C, our categories, is sending actually a video text. Now, depending on the software that you have, so I'm getting into the technical part of that, but ideally, like for our A clients, and those are those clients that are doing business with us multiple times a year and or referring us 2 or more times, in a year, or the last 12 months, is because of the great ways is to shoot. And that's going to be a smaller number, because it's shooting a short video and just texting to that. Not really using that is in an automation part of it, but it's just like going to, like, hey, Steve, I was in your neighborhood today, drove by. Hey, I thought of you. Just wanted to just check in real quick and just say, hey, check and see how your summer's going. Hey, let's catch up, right? Quick. What the beauty of that is that gets a text, it's short, they get to see you, and then they get to hear you, versus it just being one dimensional, whether that could be a phone call, whether that's a text. And it's personal, that you slowed down and you took the time to do that. That's one of the things that I see is I have students and clients implement that piece of video inside of those texts. Some CRMs allow you to embed that in video into a text. Some don't. It would be something that where you're not going to send that out to maybe everyone in your database, but starting with your A people that are the ones that are your advocates on that, because we want to be in more contact with them. So being able to automate that, having that text message, because it is it's a way to be more personal. And it also, what I found with it is, it's easier sometimes to get into a conversation, because then people are like going, oh, hey, thanks for connecting with me. Hey, we're having a great summer. Can't believe it's this. And, it's like, oh, awesome. And you can actually have that conversation that I talked about that we would have on the phone, and you may get more, and that's okay. You get more engagement on that. You can ask questions. Hey, what's going on? You guys, what's happening right now in your guys' world? Like, oh, well, we're thinking about what? Right? Remodeling the kitchen. painting the exterior of the house, whatever if they may bring up that they're doing on that, then it's like, hey, that sounds awesome. Hey, are you doing that? Are you going to are you going to have somebody do that for you? Like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing, I'm not having it painted. We're going to hire somebody. Hey, well, if you need a referral on a great painter, I've got one, right? And it's a way to engage, like, oh, hey, that would be awesome, right? So you see where that engagement off of that text message, that can be is constantly, and it's again going back to what I talk about is building goodwill. It's not me going, hey, who do you know, right? That needs to invest in the stock market or needs life insurance or whatever, right? Whatever it is industry that you're in, and having those and then and this also, this conversation could turn, because a lot of times it does, is that the person asks you, hey, what's going on? Hey, how are things? How's business? Oh, hey, business. Because a lot of times what we want to say, and we'll do this on a phone call, because I've heard this, I've done it, where we're just like, oh, hey, business is great. Everything is wonderful. And then we let it go. There's an opening for us to be able to kind of go like, oh, hey, thanks for asking. Hey, one of the things, hey, since I've got you, and whatever that is, whatever that you may be looking for, right? That's how we ask for referral. As I started this at the beginning of this call, right? When I said, that I've had, gurus say, oh, you never ask for a referral. But you see, if we do that in a way where it's just like, because that person, if we're bringing value, we're asking about them. It's just human nature. They're going to ask, hey, what's going on with business? What's happening? I'm going, oh, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, right now, this is who we're looking for. Hey, we're looking for, people that, that recently got married or retired, whatever that is, right? They want to roll over a 401k possibly. And giving them examples of that. Hey, if you know somebody, hey, I'd love that, connect. And the issue it just opens up a loop, as I talked about with the phone call, where they're like, oh, hey, who do I know that maybe, just recently got married or getting ready to retire or whatever that thing. And it just puts you back top of mind awareness. And that is the thing. And I keep going over this and over this, right? This whole process, all of these things, it isn't just the one thing usually where it's going to be is like, oh, we'll think it is because they're like, oh, hey, I got your direct mail piece and it made me think of that, and they call you out of that. Yes, that may be the case, but they've also probably got that direct mail piece every month for however long. They've received a phone call, a text from you or whatever. And so it's just, again, where I talk about that compounding effect of doing all of these things consistently. Consistency is the key to all of this. I don't care what you do, right? I mean, if I go out and I play golf, not great, but I play golf. And if I go out and I consistently practice, and if I'm practicing the wrong thing, right, I'll just reinforce that wrong thing. But if I'm doing the right thing, right, and I do this over and over again, I'm going to get better at this. And it's the same thing inside of our business, is that we give up most of the time way too soon. And I've shared this story before, is how this system works is I had and going back to my real estate days, is I had a client reach out to me, contacted me. I had helped them buy a property, and it was probably right around 10 years. Now, in that 10 years, basically, is this same system that I'm sharing with you. I did the same thing. I text them, I emailed them, I sent them direct mail, all of the things that I'm doing that, and never, ever invite them to, and we did events. And so, and invite them to an event and all these things, and repeatedly. And I knew they still lived there because the mail didn't come back to me, all of these things. And I would leave a voicemail when I call and check in. This person never responded in almost 10 years. I would say it was right at 10 years. And I get a call one day, and it's from this person. His first name is Matt. Because I put everybody in my phone, so it came through, and I was just like, and I picked up the phone like it was yesterday, right? That I had talked to him, and I was like, "Hey, Matt, what's up, man? How are you? Long time no talk." And he's just like, "Bill," he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that you remember." I'm like, "Hey, man, I remember. How are things?" And he's like, yeah, he's like, things are really good. He goes, I get all your, hey, your mailings, and thank you for staying, and he's like, in contact with me. And I was just like, absolutely, man, what's going on? So anyhow, get a conversation is he's taking another job in another area. He's relocating out, and he wants to sell his house, and he wants me to do it. So I meat with him, all of that, and we're talking, and so I go to meet with him at his house, and I was like, Matt, I'm like, hey, you and I haven't had a conversation since you bought this house, and I go, why did you decide to call me? He's like, who else would I call? He goes, you've stayed in contact with me for almost 10 years, and he goes, and I had a great experience when you helped me on that. You stayed in contact with me. He goes, who else would I have called? And I share that with you not to impress you, because it's not about me, but to impress upon you that this works. So we list his house. We help him get it sold. Not only that is the area that he's moving to, because he's going to sell his home and buy another home, and he's moving out of state. I was able to connect him with an agent there, right, to be able to continue to serve him and to be able to do that. And I share all of that with you because that was 10 years. I could have given up. I could have, after a year, it's like, I'm not going to do it anymore. But if I figure out the amount of time, right, literally, because a lot of this, our stuff that we had automated, our direct mail piece, me making, texting him or calling him, inviting him into an event, an email, all of those things, is I may have had, let's just say over that course of the year, that it was $20 a year. That was what, 10 years is $200 invested in that for, and just talking about numbers as far as, a commission that was probably, let's say it was $5,000. That's a pretty good ROI of a $200 investment for that part of it. And if I would have given up, like I see a lot of people do, where they're like, and they don't even give up. They never just ever even started. They just, they helped the people. These people were happy and in their business. And then they didn't stay in contact with them. And this is the same issue if you're, what you have to be careful. And that's in like mortgage and real estate, because it's not recurring. When you're in the insurance world or you're in financial services and you're something where someone is, hiring you and there's a policy in place on this, this is still it's doubly important. And here's why, is because you have in insurance, as you guys know, that are in that world, you have churn in that, because someone's going to come along and go, oh, I saw something online. I can go to Progressive, or I can go to, online, ABC, the General, whatever, and get it done for cheaper. But if we're staying in contact with people, we're bringing goodwill, it makes that much more difficult. And we keep them, and we get their referrals. So this is, again, why, I decided to break this thing down and to show you. I'm just give it to you. Like, this is what we did. This is what students and clients of mine will do. Now, the ones that are highly successful with it, right, are the ones that implement it on a consistent basis and build systems around doing it to get it implemented. Because as you do that, right, as you have more people, you have to have a system and process to do it, right? It just doesn't, you don't roll out of bed and like all of this is going to happen. But the thing about it is that it's not rock. This isn't rocket science. Like, we're not, right. I mean, we're communicating with people really, and this is really, in a sense, 7 different ways. Really, it's 6, because 2 of those are car, and I'll talk about that. But right, it's text. All of us know how to do this. It's just, are we doing it? And are we doing it to the right people? And are we, doing it on a consistent basis? And so that's what, I want you guys to get out of this, is like, this is the mechanism, right? All of these things are mechanisms of doing it. And the mechanisms can be so many different. The ones I've shared, the ones that we have found that that have worked. If there's a different mechanism that you've worked, that's why we also, and it's not on here, is well, we do client events as well. But I don't want to overwhelm people on that, because that's kind of a whole other thing of understanding, putting on, an event for clients and doing those things. But if you just do this, I mean, it will be a game changer in your business. And is it gonna fix it overnight? Is it gonna, like, you're gonna send out one email or one? No. Is it gonna be 1 month? No, probably not. But if you were to look at this and take a 1 month, because you start taking that, because you're gonna be doing activities, even though this says, right, monthly, quarterly, right? But there's these activities are going to happen like each week, because of the amount of people, depending on how many people that you have in your database, how often that you're connecting, sending that text and doing those things. And so it's doing those activities and being consistent in those activities, and it will lead to a positive result. If you do it, I can guarantee you that it will do that. I'll give you back your money that you paid to you paid me for this video. But no, all kidding aside, is that that's why I wanted to, to share this and to kind of break it down where it's like, hey, and so on Monday, right? I'm going to go into, so next on Monday, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about something that I love talking about, and that is the power of the handwritten note. And it is one of the most overlooked, but one of the most impactful things that you can do for people is on that. So stay tuned. That's going to be on Monday. It's going to be our part 5 of our now 7-part. It's going to be a 7-part series. So so stay with me on that. I hope you find this of value. If you want a copy of this thing of my 36 Connect of the playbook, just comment however you're consuming this, wherever you're at. Just drop playbook in the comment down below. I'll shoot it over to you in Messenger, or you're on LinkedIn, however, like all that. I'll get you a copy of that that you can have and break it down so you can hopefully start implementing that. So that's what I've got for you today in today's video. Hey, thanks for tuning in on that. If you have questions around, hey, how do I get better at all of this? I always love talking about business and how to help local service-based businesses get more business, get more referrals. You've already earned that business. You've already paid to get it, either in time or in money. So let's not leverage it. Let's leverage it and not let it waste sitting on the sideline. So have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys back here next Monday for part